Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters and welcome to my craft room if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today we are going to craft with the Love from Lizi October 2023 card kit, and it's a beautiful kit. If you have a look in the description down below, you'll find a link to my unboxing if you haven't seen what comes in this kit. So because I've gone through that already in a previous video, I'm not going to go through it now. However, I am going to remind you that if you have a look down in the description, you'll find links to my unboxing video, to Lizi's website, information about the subscription to the Love from Lizi card kit, and lots more information, including my Etsy shop for my glue pins, the other design team members, their YouTube channels, etc. So for card one is going to be card 1 and 2. I was inspired by one of the pattern papers. Now, not only did we get some 6x6 pattern papers in the kit, we also got a large 12x12 pattern paper and cut apart sheet. Now, in the larger, there is in the add-ons, there is a pack you can get of lots of pattern paper. So it's a larger paper pad, and there was these 2 frames in them, and I thought, you know what, they'd make cracking cards. So that's what I've used. I've taken this sheet, well there's 2, so I've taken 1 and I have cut out the frames, and I'm going to show you that now. I have all the bits and pieces that we're going to need here. I also took the large sheet that came in the kit and I fussy cut out all the pieces. Now you can use your Cricut or your scanning cut to cut them all out, but I just sat watching YouTube, fussy cutting away with my scissors. I used my craft knife on some of them to cut out the insides, and so I've made my own ephemera, which I love. So okay, let's have a look what we're going to need for the first card. So I've taken one of the green sheets that we got, and I have cut it down into 2 A2 size, which is an American size 4¼ by 5½ cards. Now you can have them as a top folding or a side folding or opening. These are both going to be side opening cards. I've taken an embossing folder from my stash and I've just embossed the front panel of the card itself, or our card base. So I've done that on both of them. Now I have 2 pieces of white cardstock, so again, one is going to go inside this one and the other in this one. So these measure 5¼ by 4 inches. So I've one for in there and one for in there, and we're going to stamp a sentiment on these later on. I've also taken the 2 frames that I've cut out. You can see them here. Now they are a little bit big for our card base. You can see that here. They're perfect in width for our card, but in length they're a little bit long. But you know what? Our envelopes have a little bit of wiggle room inside, and it would help Simone if you were in frame. So our envelopes have a little bit of wiggle room, so I reckon these will fit in my A2 envelope no problem. So not only did I cut around this, but I cut out the inside because I wanted to look down into my panel. I've added some foam strips to the back, so I'm going to have a little bit of dimension, but you can just glue this straight down onto your card base if you want. I love dimension in my cards, and that's why I've put some foam tape behind these here. I've actually moved the location of my camera, so please bear with me if I go a little bit off screen. It's because I'm kind of reverting back to where I used to have it looking down, so yeah, bear with me. Okay, so for one of them I have this piece. Now I don't have the measurements wrote down. So let's have a look. And again, all the measurements are down in the description for all of our cards. So if I forget to give you the measurements for something, have a look down there. The measurements will be down there. So this piece is, it's a little over 4.5 inches. It's 4 5/8 of an inch long. And then the width is 3 1/4. And what I've done is I've taken some of this cork sheet that we got in the kit. And again, this one is 4 5/8 by, it's a little over 3/4 of an inch wide. I wanted to give the impression of a room. So this is our floor and this is our wallpaper in the back. And that's going to go on there. And this is going to sit over the top. So we're going to have a nice little image in our frame. I've then got some of my little pieces that I have fussy cut out. I've got some for the other one as well. And I have some sentiment strips as well as that. So I think the bird is for that one and the little pussycat is for this one. So you can see there, I fussy cut out my little kitten or my little cat. I added some foam tape behind her. I'm choosing to call it a her. I've cut out the television and I've cut out this smaller image as well from one of the pattern paper. The 6x6 has got a sheet and it's got all little houses on it, and I cut that one out. And again, both of them are on foam tape, so they'll sit on like so. And then I've got my chair. There isn't any foam behind this. This is going to go flat down. So I'm going to have my TV there, and there's a gardening program on the TV because that's what I like to watch. I've got my chair here that I like to sit in and watch TV, and I have my little cat, and I was thinking of popping her up there. She's keeping my chair nice and warm. And then I have sentiments here. I have the our little place on earth, so that can go there. And then this one, there's no place like home, is going to go on this one, probably up there or maybe down here. Now these sentiment strips are from the sticker sheet that we got, and with this one I've added a strip of foam behind it, and on the other one I haven't added anything behind it. I stuck it onto some white card. It's 300 GSM card, and because these are sticky backed, I stuck it on there, and now I can use my glue to stick that in place. That way, if my sentiment is half hanging off the frame, I'll only want some glue behind where I want it to sit rather than the whole thing being sticky. So that's where I got my sentiments from. So on this one we have there's no place like home. I've fussy cut out the house, and I've got some foam tape behind that. I thought that could sit up there like so. And then I have one of the little birds from the sheet. I put some foam on that, and I'm going to pop that one up there, or I might even pop it up there. But you know me, I'll say, oh, I'm going to pop that there, and you might find it over here. So that is the layout for my cards. That'll give us two new home kind of cards. That's what I'm going for. Although it doesn't say no new home, you kind of get that vibe from them. So I'm going to go and put on a little bit of music now, and I'm going to stick all these down, and then all we need to do is stamp our sentiments for the inside of our card. So in this one, I'm going to use the Home Sweet Home stamp. And this is one that came from the kit. And I'm also going to use the little house. And that'll go on the inside of this card. So I'll put the little house there. And I'll put the Home Sweet Home here in the middle. And I'm going to get some ink to do it. And because we haven't any black on the outside of this card, I'm going to pull in a blue color and stamp in the blue. I'm going to use one of my little VersaCraft ink cubes. These are available from Lizi's web shop or website. So I'm going to lift up those two. I'll reset my paper in there and then I can stamp them down. And this ink is lovely and juicy. It gives a great inking. But I'm happy with that now. That'll be the inside for this card. For this card, I'm going to use a stamp from my stash, and I will be using a few stamps from my stash in these cards. But I do like to use Lizi stamps when I can, and dies. So now I just want to embellish my two cards, and I'm going to do that by using a little bit of sparkle pen just on the roof and maybe on the little cat's ears and cheeks. And I'm going to add some of the lovely gems. So I'm going to take some of the gems and add them then just as a finishing little touch. And there we go. There are our first two cards using the Love from Lizi October 2023 card kit. And I love these with my own little ephemera pieces made by cutting them out of the large sheet that we got that was full of images. So that's card 1 and 2. Let's move on now to card number 3. So for card 3, I'm going to make a shaped card using these new dies that you'll find on Lizi's website. So I've taken the largest die, and what I will do is I will place that over the card base. Now my card base is an A2 card base, so it measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And if you fold your card base in half and burnish it with a bone folder or a burnishing tool, you can then take your nested die and you can place it over the top. Now, because I want mine to be a side opening card, I'm going to ensure that the cutting die is off the edge here, because this will give us our fold in our card. So I'll place the die like so over my card base, and I'll bring that then to my die cutting machine. What I'll come back with then is this. So this is going to be our card shape. Now you can see here that the card isn't the full size of the die. So what I did was I cut another piece of white cardstock, if I can get it off the table. And I'm going to stick this down directly on top of my card base. So now we have the finished look of a card. Now the thing is, if I was to use this as a card base, it would rock because we have a rounded edge here. We could also use it in this orientation as a top opening card as well. And it will still rock, but maybe not so much. But the best thing to do in this instance is to just take a little snip off the bottom there. It gives it a flat edge, so your card will tend to sit and it won't rock. So that's what I've done there. Just on the back little piece there, I just took a little bit off. So we have our card base made. We have our top piece to go on top of that. So we have the look of a finished card. Then I've taken the next die down and I have die cut out this piece of pattern paper. And then I have taken my biggest die and the next size down again. So we've literally taken the first 3 dies is what we're using in this. So this has given us our card base and our card front. Then the next one has given us our pattern paper, and the next one down will make a frame for us, because I want to frame my card, and I want my frame to be the whole size of my card base. So that is that one. Now the pattern paper I used from this is from the add-on section. It's the large paper pack, but you can use any of the pattern papers that we got in the kit. I've also fussy cut out this little dog, and I have some foam on the back of him. I've stamped a sentiment from my stash, Deepest Sympathies. I'm going to pop this in here behind my frame. Then I'm going to sit my little dog on top. And then I've punched out 2 little red hearts with a punch that I have in my stash, and I'm going to pop them on the front there. So we have a sympathy card, because we're very invested in our pets now, and when one passes, it is, for most people, a heartbreaking thing. So it's always handy to have some of these in our stash, and I thought this would make a really cute card. It doesn't have to be the same as the dog that's died, our image. It just, as long as it portrays a dog, that's all we want. So this is card 3. I'm going to go ahead now and assemble this. And there we go now. There is our beautiful little sympathy card. I know nobody wants to get a sympathy card, but we have a lovely one here. I've added some sparkle pen to the flowers, a couple of drops of accent glaze, and some accent glaze and sparkle pen to my hearts as well. And I can go ahead then and I can add a little sentiment inside once this is dry. So that is card 3. Now we're going to move on to card number 4. So now we're moving on to card number 4, and this card is going to be a gatefold card, and I'm going to embellish the front or the gatefolds using these. These are new tags that Lizi is introducing onto the website, so if you're interested in getting these tags, I really recommend it. There's 10 dies in this, and all the information is on the unboxing. So I'm going to take the largest tag and I'm going to cut out 2 tags, which is what I have done here. These are going to be part of my gatefold doors, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to trim off the little corners here so they are set nicely as a tag on the front. I've also taken 2 of these fishtail banners. We got these in the kit as well, and I've taken this one with the lovely house and this one with this one was blank. I took the Home Sweet Home stamp that was in the stamp set we got, and I stamped that in the center there. I've added some foam tape on the front for a little dimension. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, and they'll sit on our doors on the front. Now you'll also notice I've got some peel-offs on here, and we got these fab wavy peel-offs in the kit, so I have used those. I've used the 2 of the largest and 2 of the medium, so it just gives us this look, and I thought it would be nice to have that bit of shine. It pulls out the color in our house that's on the front of this one here. So I'm going to add this on here, And then you can see I went across the way with this one. I'm going to add that on there. I'll stamp a sentiment inside, but that will be from my stash. I've also taken some of the skinny ribbon and I've tied 2 bows. You didn't want to watch me doing that, so I have those 2 there as well. So that's our card. Our card base, I don't know if I told you, it measures 12 by 6 and I've scored it at 3 and at 9, and that'll give us our 6 by 6 gatefold card. So I'm going to go ahead now, burnish those score lines and start assembling the card. So there we are, there is our gatefold cards, and we used the tag dies that are available on the Love from Lizi website. And you could, of course, cut the angles off here and here if you wanted across the top. If you wanted to do that, you could. I'm quite happy to leave it as it is. I think if I was going to do anything, I would cut the angle off here and here. And I might actually do that. I think it would kind of finish the card. So I'm just going to use my scissors to snip in there. I'm being very careful now because I have some accent glaze on the front. But I think, yeah, I'm much happier with that. I love that now. I love that look. I think that's better. So that's it, folks. There is card number 4. Let's move on now to card number 5. So for card number 5, I'm going to use the 5x7 card blank that we got in the kit, and this is the grey one, and it's kind of got an opalescent sheen onto it. I want to die cut out my cat, which I have done here. This is my cat, so it goes this way. So I've taken the die that came in the die set that we got, and this is the die set here. I've taken the cat and I've die cut it out of a piece of cardstock. What I want to do with this piece is I want to use this to make my own pattern paper. So I'm going to take a piece of cardstock. I'm going to use some white cardstock and I'm going to do some stenciling, because this is in effect what this is. It's a stencil. So I'm going to do some stenciling, and I'm going to use some inks from my stash. I'm going to use some Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to use iced spruce. So let's go ahead now and we'll make our own pattern paper. So I have my Distress Oxide Ice Spruce ready. I've got a blending brush. This is a new blending brush, so I'm going to use that. I have my die cut cat and the leftover piece, and this is what I'm going to use as my stencil. Now I'm going to stencil shaded cats all around here, but I want to leave a space clear for a die cut for one of these. So I have a piece of 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I want to ensure that wherever I put my cat, I've got a nice place for it to be. So I know I kind of want my cat in the middle and at that area. So as long as I put my cat somewhere in the middle, I'll be able then to cut out where I need to stencil. So I need to leave that area clear. So just going to use a little bit of repositionable tape on my little cat, and this is the Stick It repositionable tape. So I'm going to just pop that down there, and I'll know then not to, you know, put my stencil into that area. That's the area I'm going to keep clear. And I'm going to pop my stencil down, and all around my cat then I'm going to blend out some of my iced spruce color, and it doesn't have to be perfect blending. It just needs to be enough. Now I have a little bit of the repositionable tape behind the tail of my cat there, because I don't want it to move. So I'll just peel that up, and then I can pop another cat down over here. And I'm going to do that all around. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a different color for my cat, and I'm going to blend behind that. But I want to take up my double-sided tape that's there. Now, although it's a repositionable tape, it can leave some residue, and I'm just using one of these erasers. It's a special eraser for taking off sticky tape or anything like that. So I just want to make sure there's nothing left down here. So I'll pick this up with my eraser, and I think that's everything. So now I'm going to blend again, but I'm going to blend with a black color this time. On my little stencil, I'm going to put my little cat in here, like so. And then I'm going to stencil a black ink. So I'm going to get my black ink now. I think I could have positioned it a bit better, but I'm happy with that. And then this will sit down over the top of that, and that will be on our card. So let's go ahead now. I'll cut this out to size, and then we'll start assembling our card. So I have cut out my piece to go on my card blank. I have die cut out 3 of the little white cats, and I've layered that up on top. Before I finish with this panel, I want to take the distress ink, and I want to just go around the edge of my panel, just to kind of give it a little oomph at the edges there. So that's what I'm going to do before I move on now and add it to my card base. Now, and I like the look of that now. It kind of brings everything into our focal point by adding that now. And this will actually dry off lighter like the cats once it's dried. So now let's go ahead and look at our card base and our panel that we're going to put behind this. So like I said, we have our card base, which is 5 by 7. I have a piece of black cardstock which measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Then I have my panel which measures 4 5/8 by 6 5/8, and that'll sit on top there, and that'll give us a really nice thin fine border around it. And that's what I want, because I'm picking up the black behind our cat. I've taken a stamp from my stash in Sympathy. I stamped that down, and then I've bordered that with a piece of black cardstock and a little red heart, and I'm going to sit that down there like so. I'm going to add some foam tapes behind this so it actually sits up proud of our cat. And then inside I've already done some stamping. I've put a sentiment from my stash in here. I've also added, I've stenciled in again the cat, like what we did with our own pattern paper. I put that there, and the reason for that is I smudged the inside of my card. So I thought I'm going to go with it. So that's what I did. I had a little footprint stamp in my stash as well, and I've added some footprints for the cat too. So I'm going to go ahead now and just simply assemble these, and then I'm going to embellish it with some of the gems that we got in the kit. And there we go. There is card number 5, our little cat sympathy card, and I think that is just lovely. So now let's move on to card number 6. So for card 6, we're going to make a DL size card, and the card size that I make is a 4 by 8 1/4, because the DL size envelopes that I have in my stash are 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. So that is why I use these measurements, but you can make this to any size card you like. So I have a piece of 8 by 8 1/4, and I've scored it at 4, and that'll give me my 4 by 8 1/4 DL size card. I'm using some of the paper from the add-on paper pack. I loved these little houses. So this piece measures 3 3/4 by 8, and it's going to sit on the top there. I was debating putting a matte layer behind it, but I don't think it needs it. I've also taken a strip of the pattern paper and I fussy cutted. This was actually an offcut from this. So I fussy cut around the houses, and I thought this would be very cute to put inside. You know, I like me a bit of fussy cutting. I've also taken this piece. This came out of card 3, our dog sympathy card, and I thought I'm going to use that piece up. So what I have done is I have stamped a sentiment. Now this is one from my stash again for on the front of this. I'm also going to embellish it with 2 of the little house, the wooden houses that came in the kit, and I'll probably put them something like that and like that on there. And then inside my card, I have stamped my sentiment already. Enjoy your new home and creating happy memories. That's a stamp from my stash. But the home sweet home and my little house, that is from the stamps that we got in the kit. Now you can see here, I stamped the home and the home in a different color to the sweet, and the same with this. I didn't actually stamp the darker windows and door. I just used a fine liner pen, which was very similar in color to this. The ink that I'm using here is the Versacraft ink. One is Ash Rose, that's the pink color, and for the brown color I've used chocolate, and these are available on Lizi's website if you're interested. I love the Versacraft, I love the VersaFine Claire, I love all the VersaFines. They're just a brilliant ink. So that's what I've used to stamp my sentiment. And you'll see now, this was in hindsight. I had prepped this card and I was taking this strip to throw it in with the other leftover bits. And I thought, you know, I could fussy cut that. So I did. And I'm going to add it down here, and I know it's going to hide the little house that I've stamped, but if you don't want to fussy cut it, you can just, you know, stamp the little image there if you want. But I am definitely going to stick this down here. I think it just brings the front of the card to the inside. So now all we need to do is some assembly, and that's what I'm going to do next. So now for finishing touches, I have some of the Diecut Ultimate Glow in the Dark, and I know you would kind of consider using this for Halloween, but I think it would be so cool put inside our hearts and our windows. So when this, when the lights are on in the house, you know, it'll pick up, and then once the lights go out in the room, whatever room it's in, they'll start to glow, and I just think this would be so cool. So I'm kind of filling the gaps with this. It will take a little while to dry. I would always recommend leaving these 24 hours to dry. Whether you put it on in a very thin amount or in a big amount. Now this came in a much bigger bottle, which I decanted into this one. And yeah, I think this is just going to be so cool. When whoever gets it turns off the light and they see lights glowing. I think it's going to be cool. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. So once I have this all nicely filled, and this, I did not get this from Lizi's web shop. I actually got this online. But yeah. So there we go. We could always do a couple of little windows here as well. And I'll probably just do some random windows all around. Now, so I think that's enough of that. I'm going to leave that, and hopefully I will insert a picture. If you look, if you watch to the end, I'll have a picture of this card and a picture of it in the dark with the little windows all aglow. So do keep watching so you can see that. So there we go. This is card 6. Let's move on now to card number 7. For card 7, I'm going to use another of the card blanks that came in the kit. Now, these card blanks, they measure. So these have a kind of an opalescent sheen, and they come with a matching envelope as well. I have 2 pieces of white cardstock here. One of them is going to go on the front, and it measures. And then I have this piece, the same size, it's going to go inside. Now I have already stamped my sentiment on this, and I'm going to embellish it later, and I'll get to that in a moment. I've taken this piece of pattern paper, and it measures 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. And that's going to be our front panels on the outside. I've taken my tag dies that are available on the Love from Lizi website, and I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th die from the center, and that's this one. And I've die cut out 3 tags using that. 2 are just white, and the other one is, I'm going to embellish these 2, and this one I'm going to put up on foam tape and sit that up there like so. I've got some offcuts here from my pattern paper. These are about 3/8 of an inch. They're not quite 1/2 an inch wide, and they're not quite 1/4. It was just an offcut piece. I want to embellish the bottom of my tags using these little 3 pieces. And then to embellish my tags more, I've taken 3 pieces of my ephemera. These were images on the 12 by 12 sheet that came in the kit. I fussy cut them all out, and I'm going to take these 3 pieces. 2 of them will sit out here, and the other one, our little cat, is going to sit on the inside there. And then I'll use some of the gems to decorate the front. So that is how our card is going to look. Let's go ahead now and assemble. So there we go. There is card number 7, another home sweet home card, but you can never have too many of them in your stash. So I've embellished it using the little gems that came in the kit. I've also used some of my accent glaze on the leaves, around the base of the plant and on the buttons of the couch. And then inside we have our little cat and a sentiment from my stash. So that's card 7. Let's move on now to card number 8. For card 8, I'm again going to use one of the card blanks that came in the kit, and I have a couple of pieces of white cardstock to go on this, and I have 2 of them. One is going to go on the outside like so, the other one is going to go inside, and you can see here I've already stamped on this one. Now my little pug, my gorgeous little cute pug, is from the stamp set that we got in the kit, but my sentiment, "Have a furry happy birthday," is this one, and I don't know if it's big enough for me to get the whole thing in, but this came free in a magazine. I think it was Creative Stamping, but it's ages old, and I just love the sentiments, the, you know, the pet friendly sentiments that's on that. So that one is from my stash, so I have a furry happy birthday on that. But on the outside I'm going to use one of the fishtail banners that came in the kit with the 3 little pugs. Aren't they so cute? And on the front of this I've stamped "Sorry I forgot." Again, that sentiment comes from that stamp set from my stash. I've put some foam tapes on the back of these, so I'll be able to pop that on there like so. Now my panel here, I'm going to embellish this with some ink blending, and then I'm going to add some of the ribbon that came in the kit around that. And then I have some peel-offs. These are the pinstripe peel-offs from my stash that I'm going to use as well. So I think what we'll do now is we'll move on to our ink blending for the background for this lovely little fishtail banner. So on my panel I'm going to use some Distress Oxide ink, and this is peeled paint. Now I know this kind of looks green, and it is a green color. This is it 24 hours after it's dry. You can see we have the nice color palette on it there, but I think it'll pick up the yellow, but it'll also pick up the green that's in the leaves on our little fishtail banner. So hence the reason I'm going with this color. And all I really want to do is just bring some color to the edges of my panel. That's all I want to do, and it doesn't have to be perfect, folks. You've seen me doing this before. Depending on your cardstock will depend on the type of blend you'll get. You'll see I'm doing circular motions as well, because if we go straight up and down, we won't actually capture all the fibers that's on our cardstock. Even with super smooth cardstock, you'll still get some, you know, missed pieces if you do an up and down motion. So it's always best when you're doing ink blending to do a circular motion with your brush, and that's what I'm doing here. This doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to take that white look off my panel, because we're going to have a lot going on. Even though it's a kind of, it's the, you know, it's just a white panel in the background, it's still going to have our peel-offs, it's going to have our ribbons, it's going to have our fishtail banner, but I think it's going to look lovely, and it just takes that white look off our panel. So I think that should be good now. I'm fairly happy with that. We've got a nice blend, and it'll kind of pull our focus down into the center as well. It brings your focus down in, so it helps you with the, you know, bringing everything in. So now I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead now and bring everything back in and do some assembling. So there we go. There is card number 8, and it's our sorry I forgot card. It's a birthday card, but these are always handy to have in your stash. I can't tell you the number of birthdays I seem to forget, or I'll remember like the day before the person's birthday, and I know it's going to arrive late, so it's nice to have a belated birthday card. So this is my belated birthday card, using mostly products that came from the kit. So that's it. Now let's move on to card number 9. For card 9, I'm going to make a 5x7 card, and this is a card blank I have in my stash. If you want to make a 5x7 card, you'll need a piece of 10x7 and score it at 5. So this is one I've made already myself. Just make sure that you burnish the score line well. I've also got a piece of black cardstock from my stash, and this piece measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and then I've taken a piece of pattern paper from the large block that you can get in the add-ons, and this piece measures 4 5/8 by 6 5/8, so we're just getting a very thin border going the whole way around. I've taken a piece of the house's pattern paper, and what I've done is I've used Lizi's oval dies that she has on the website, and I've die cut out. I've used 3 different dies. So the first die I used and the third die I used is to make up this frame. Now I stuck some black cardstock and I put some foam sheet behind it. That way when I die cut out my oval, I have foam the whole way around that for a bit of dimension. So this is the inside part. I can use this on another project. And then the scrap piece that came around, I just cut off the corners, and I have that in my stash if I want to use it for, you know, punching out some hearts or something. So I have my frame. Now, if you want to know what the measurements of my oval frame are, then it's about 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. So my middle oval I use to die cut out this piece, and that means that I can stick that onto my oval like so. So I'll pop it on there, and I'll just make sure that my houses are straight. We also got some cork sheet, and it's got adhesive on the back of it. And what I did was I took 2 little strips of it, and I kind of popped it behind my oval, and I drew around it so that I would be able to cut it out. So I did that with 2 pieces, and I layered one on top of the other. I hope you can see that. Then I took my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink, and I went around the edges of both of those, just so it gives a little bit of definition and dimension to this piece. That's going to sit in here like so. That piece will sit on there. And then I've taken 2 of the little houses. Well, I think this is a house and this is a church. And what I did was I put a piece of black cardstock and white cardstock behind them, so I could then color in where my window openings were and my door, etc. are there. So I've got a little I hope you can see, it looks like there's a little fire and a picture frame on the wall. I just had fun doing this. I drew in my little door, so it looks like I have a door there, etc. Now you could again take some of your glowing medium if you have some in your stash, and you could fill the little windows with this, and I will probably do that because I just love the idea of the windows glowing when the lights go off. So they're my little house and my little church, and I'm going to pop them up there. And you'll see I put a little piece of the cork just up there in the top of the house. That means when it's set up here, it'll actually be level on the back. If I didn't put that there, there'd be a gap behind the house at the top. So I've put that there, and it'll have a little bit of balance. So we have a very busy town going on there now. But the reason I'm doing this is because I took one of the sentiment stickers that was on this sheet here, and it's Home Sweet Home. I've backed it with some black cardstock and then popped 2 black foam tabs behind that, and I'm going to add that on. I may add that here like so. I think that would look good. So again, we have a new home card. Now you may just notice on my pattern paper piece that the edges are blended, and again I used my peeled paint ink and I blended around the edges like I did on our previous card. And you might also notice that there are some like stitching lines all around there where the peeled paint is. I used this fabulous tool. It's a haberdashery tool, and when you go over a piece of cardstock, and I'll show you on a blank piece here, when you go over this with this one, what it does is it gives you the look of stitching. And I just thought, I hope you can see that there now, I just thought that looked super cool. So I added that onto my pattern paper. Now you know, it's not in your face. It's a lovely, it's just an accent there on the pattern paper, which I love. So that's all our pieces and parts. Inside, I have already stamped a sentiment from my stash. I used the Home Sweet Home sentiment from our kit, and I also used the little house stamp from our kit as well. So that's the inside done. I had this offcut piece as well. I think it is 3/4 of an inch wide by 4 3/4 long, and I've popped that just in there. So that's our card and all the pieces. Let's go ahead now and assemble it. So there we go. There is our new home card, and I love this. And you can see I added some of my Deco Art glow that I have in my stash, and this will dry, it'll flatten down and it'll dry more or less clear, and it'll look fab when this is set on a mantelpiece and the person turns out the lights. All you'll see is the little glow from the lights in the houses here, and I love that idea. So our Home Sweet Home card all done and finished. Love it. So that's it. I'm going to move on now to card number 10. So for card number 10, I'm going to make a 6x6 card. I have my card base here. It measures 6x6, and you can make one yourself taking a piece of cardstock and score it at 6. You can see inside I've stamped my Home Sweet Home, and I've added my lovely little puppy in here. My craft card that I have here, I've die cut out using one of the lovely shaped dies that Lizi has on the website, and I have used my haberdashery tool to go around the side and give it that stitched frame look. I've also used my vintage photo Distress Oxide ink, and I've blended around the edge of my frame to give it a little bit of definition. So that'll sit on my card base like so. Now I've also added some foam tape to the back of this for a little bit of dimension. You don't have to do that. You can glue this straight down if you you know, some countries get caught for postage if there's dimension, so it's up to yourself. Now behind here I have a piece of pattern paper, and this is from the kit that we got. This piece is 5.5 by 5.5, and it's going to sit behind here like this, and then we're going to put our framed one on top of that. I've taken a larger die than what I used here and a smaller die than what I've used here to die cut out this lovely frame, and that's going to sit over the front. I've embellished it with a piece of pattern paper from the kit just at the bottom, because when that sits on there like so, I'm going to pop my little dog on there, and I kind of feel he needs something to sit on. I've also taken one of the potted plant images that was on the 12 by 12 sheet, which I cut down. I fussy cut all those images out, and I've put some foam tape just onto the right hand side of the plant, because I'm going to sit that there. It'll sit on the frame, but some of it will sit off. So this is how our card will look. And then for a finish, if I move this over, I've taken one of the stickers from the sticker sheet, here that came in the kit, and that has our place on it, and I'm going to pop that up there. So again, this is another Home Sweet Home card, and this is something I was lacking in my stash, hence the reason I've done a lot of Home Sweet Home cards and sympathy cards for your pets, because that's something I needed to build up in my stash, and you know, they worked perfectly with what we got in the kit. So I'm going to go ahead now, I'm going to speed everything up, and I'm going to assemble the card. So that's it. That is card number 10 using the Love from Lizi October 2023 card kit called Better Together. I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have, you might give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, please, if you're not a subscriber. That way you'll be notified next time I share a video or even do a live stream, crafting live with you. There are links down below to the products from the Love from Lizi website, to the kit, to the other designers who have beautiful videos up showcasing all the great products that came in this kit. You can see some images now flicking through of the 10 cards, as well as those that have the little light up windows on them. So I'm going to leave it there. If you make any of these cards, please do share them on the Love from Lizi Facebook group and my Facebook group called Your Cards and Crafts. Until next time, folks, take care, stay safe, happy crafting, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.